Welcome to the Wrexham Coffee Matchup. I'm Dave.
And I'm Courtney. Each week, we'll take a few minutes to catch up on the latest news from Wrexham. From matchups to transfers, on and off the pitch, we'll share our takes on it all.
So grab a coffee and join us.
Hey, Dave, it's good to see you.
Good. It's been the longest that we've gone so far. It's been about 3 weeks since we last filmed. So how are you doing?
I know. I'm good. We've both had an international trip between us. How long have I been back? A day? It's been more than 24 hours, but not very long. And I'm back home. How are you doing?
I'm good. So I had a little food poisoning on the way home, so it took a few days to recover. So I kind of missed out on the Thanksgiving weekend. But other than that, I'm back up to speed. And now we're both back in our current respective countries and ready to talk about the very, very busy week that we had as a team this last week.
Very busy. I don't know that I have. So I was in the US visiting my family for the Thanksgiving holiday. And I don't think that I have ever watched a Wrexham match in the US. I could be wrong, but I don't think I have. And there were three right. While I was there. But I guess before that.
Did it feel weird, like the timing and just I
could not wrap my head around the fact I was on the East Coast, so it was 10 o'clock in the morning, and that's not a time that we play. What's happening? I found that very tough.
Whereas I had to get used to watching a match at 4 o'clock in the afternoon in France. So it was definitely a very interesting way, because I had pretty much written off that I wouldn't be able to watch that game. And then as the day went on, I'm like, I really, really want to watch. So I readjusted my daily schedule so that I could be back at my hotel in time and with the laptop open and ready to go. So,
yeah. But it's amazing how, you get into your routine, like you wake up for the day and then you're up and ready to go. You've already got the match finished. Whereas for me, it's, I watch, and then by the time the match is done, it's time to start making dinner. So a reversal a bit.
and now you have to readjust again next week for December.
Yeah, I know. But
get back on the regular timeline.
Readjust for December. So that's back to the 4 p.m. for me match. But then we've got Wednesday matches, and it's all just going to be a mess, and that's fine.
Right. And Christmas and Boxing Day. And yes,
exactly.
Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was just going to say before we get into the last 3 league matches, though, you kept up a bit with the Wales national team.
As I'm smelling my Wales World Cup jersey that I was able to pick up in London last week in celebration of the team doing very well in their qualifying matches. So they had 2 qualifying matches during the international break. First off was their 1-0 victory against Liechtenstein. And then ironically, I landed in London for my trip on the day of the North Macedonia match, which was being played in Cardiff. And so I got back to my hotel after flying in. It was kind of a very long day. You know how those international flights are, and you're kind of messed up for time. And so the match started, I believe, at 8 o'clock. And so I took me a while, but I found it on the BBC iPlayer, and I loaded up the game, and I was laying in bed, and I was really excited. It was a very exciting match, and Wales just really dominated North Macedonia. And at one point, it was a little after the first half. They were just into the second half, and Wales scored their 4th goal, making it 4-1. And I thought, okay, this is great. I can just go to bed knowing that they won this match. So I fell asleep, and I woke up the next morning, and I opened my phone and I looked, and it was 7-1 against North Macedonia, which probably very exciting for the Cardiff crowd to watch, especially the distribution of goals across the players, including Nathan Broadhead got a goal towards the end of the match when he came in as a substitution. But it was definitely fun to be watching in the UK at the same time that Scotland was playing their World Cup qualifying match, which got them into the World Cup for the first time in almost 30 years, 20 some odd years. So watching social media while watching the matches and people watching both at the same time, it was just kind of an exciting little buzz. And so I immediately the next day had to run out to the Adidas store and get my Wales jersey.
Naturally.
Naturally.
Yeah, I watched the first half started dozing a little bit. But on top of that, the BBC iPlayer for me stopped working. And so I kind of said, well, that's okay. I'm falling asleep. Boys are doing really well. And then I woke up the next morning and had the alert on my phone of the final score. And I thought, well, all right, that was a busy second half too.
Right. So, but happily for us, which I say for us as the Wrexham team, there's not another international break again until March. But on the good side is that Wales has made it through to the next round.
Yep.
So the semifinals of the qualifying heat,
Mhm.
and they'll be playing. They drew to play at home in Cardiff again on March 26th, and they'll be
Great.
playing against Bosnia and Herzegovina. So another very interesting match coming up, and we got a lot of regular Wrexham matches between now and March.
We do.
So it'll be interesting to see sort of how everything develops. So where
Mhm.
does that stand in the World Cup in big picture at the moment?
Yeah, so there were 16 teams that have gone into the playoffs. There are two playoff rounds that are, single match eliminations. So you lose, you're out. Four teams total will advance to the World Cup. So the four teams that win both of the matches.
Got it. All right. So
So we'll
we'll
see.
put our fingers together for March and hope the Wales keeps going. Yeah.
Yeah. So looking ahead to the World Cup, let's look back now to I don't even remember what day that we played Ipswich Town.
So you'll get clear. So it was a week ago Saturday. Was our match against Ipswich Town, match day 16. So Ipswich Town was one of the two teams that was recently relegated from the Premier League. So they are one of the three teams. So they were a very strong team going into this match, and there was a lot of kind of this was the are we the Giants killers or not kind of conversation.
Mhm.
So Kiefer Moore had been injured and didn't go on the Wales international break
Yep.
for their teams, and he was still kind of nursing the injury, so he didn't even make the trip to Ipswich. And this was the first time that we saw Sam Smith and Windass start as a combo. It was Smith's
Mhm.
first start in the championship, so it was kind of a
Okay.
good moment for him. But wow, this game was very intensely defensive.
Yeah.
I mean, Ipswich made 21 shots on goal over 90 plus minutes compared to our
Mhm.
3 shots on goal. And
Mhm.
so pretty much I was rewatching the highlights this morning, and it was pretty much all the highlights were shot, Arthur, save, shot, Arthur, save, shot, Arthur, save. There really wasn't any opportunities for either Smith or Windass to make some good
Yeah.
options for us in the match. And so we really played 90 minutes of just defense, defense, defense. And I think we did it
Mhm.
very well. And we really put a lot into it. So I think we
Yeah.
were very pleased to walk away with a 0-0 draw. I
Mhm.
think that Ipswich thought they had it in the bag, and we
Yeah.
really showed them that we have pulled together this amazing defense and midfield. So it was good to see that, and it just kind of like said, okay, we've got that. Now let's just move on to the next one.
Yeah, but I think I want to say it's been such a long time now, but I want to say it was just in our last episode we were talking about how the team now is really built around Moore, and we had just said we need him to not get injured
Right.
because he plays such a crucial role. And then it was the very next league match that he was out, and I was biting my nails a little bit um, while we were watching. But it's funny. I started a couple of minutes late again because it was 10 o'clock in the morning and I didn't have Wrexham match on my mind. And I turned on, and the very first thing I saw, for anyone who watched Friends, I turned on the TV and I thought, Coach Joey Tribbiani, because it looked just like Matt LeBlanc, the coach on the Ipswich Town side, and that kind of threw me as well. But we played really great. Um, the Ipswich Town team was ranked 7th going into it, and I think the match really showed that we're cementing, the place that we have in the mid top of the table. And just like you said, this theme that keeps emerging is super saves by Arthur. What a workout he had. Yeah, that's really all I can say.
Yes. And so should
Um,
we move on to the next match?
yeah, yeah. A couple days later, we played Bristol City. I actually didn't watch the match at all. We were driving up to watch the Knicks play, but I watched the extended highlights, and one of the commentators, and the highlights don't have Mark on the commentary,
Right.
so I'm not sure who it was, but said the comment was, "Arthur's a big boy. He's very imposing." Yeah, yeah, he definitely is. So, Dave, how did we do versus the 8th ranked team in the table?
So it's interesting because this is the one that if you had a chance to watch, I really wish
Should
you
have been
had
this
had the
one.
chance. It should have been this one because I think that this is now our 17th match in the league. And specifically the first 30 minutes was probably some of the finest football our team has played as a team all
Really?
season.
Oh, wow.
Just we came out on the attack from the beginning. We never let off the gas for 90
Okay.
plus minutes. The first 30 minutes was just solid. We had more back on the starting lineup, and he was partnered up with Broadhead. They just really
Which I
flowed
love.
together. There was a lot of opportunities. And Broadhead just made the most beautiful goal at 16 minutes. It was one of these kind of pass. It was a pass from Thomason that he then just kind of hooked it with his right leg, and it just shot right past everybody into the goal, and it really set the race course on fire. And
Yeah.
I think from that point, it just really didn't let off. We just kept going. There was opportunities. I rewatched the highlights again this morning as well, and there could have been a second, a third, a fourth goal in that
Wow.
middle window, just because there were so many opportunities that were so close, and we just never stopped going. But I think the
Wow.
big thing that got most of the attention of the day was we had a corner kick at the 74th minute.
A rocket.
Thomason goes in to take the corner kick, and similar to Elliott Lee, I believe it was last season, at the end of last season, just nailed right into the corner of the net. And it was a beautiful shot. No one really had a chance. And then they went and pretty much called it an own goal. And
Yeah.
they ruled it an own goal.
Because the goalkeeper tipped it, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I watched the replays again this morning, and they showed the one version that I showed of the highlights, replayed that from 5 different angles. And I swear I could not see Vitek, their goalie, touch the ball.
Okay.
Or if he did, it was like the brush against the tip of his gloves,
Yeah.
But it doesn't take away from the fact that it was a beautiful day from Thomason. He assisted
Yeah.
on the Broadhead goal. He made that corner kick that really had no chance of anyone
Mhm.
defending that. And he's really, he had a slow start to the season because he was injured when he was signed. But he's really coming into his own and really starting to be a really important member of this team. And so that was
Yeah.
great to see. But just to see the race course fired up. That was our 4th straight home win in a row. It was 4th
Beautiful.
clean sheet in a row from Arthur. I mean, there was a lot to praise on that, and it kind
Yeah.
of really set us up and gave us energy to come into this match that we had this Saturday against the Blackburn Rovers. So that brings us to this past Saturday and our matchup against the Blackburn Rovers at the racecourse. We came into it really hoping to build off the momentum of the Bristol City win from the previous Wednesday. And we really came out on fire again. It was a really good, quick match, very exciting first half, but just Blackburn had a speed that was quite scary and hard to adapt to.
It was.
So they had a quick break at the 13-minute mark that led to a goal, really that there was nothing anybody could have done to defend. Defenders and Arthur just had no chance at it. And for the rest of the first half, they just were on a constant pushing attack. I mean, we were attacking back as well, but they had this combination of players, Ohashi, who was one of their strikers, and Morishida, one of the midfielders, who together were just so dangerous and quick on the way that they were bringing the ball to their, to put shots on goal. But we we held them off after that first goal, and we really never let up all the way until the 95th minute. We just kept going and going and going. And at one point, I was amazed by this. I don't know what you thought about it, but when they bring on the substitutions, and we kind of like we play Parky in our head, and so we had Moore and Broadhead start. Then they brought on Windass, but left Moore and Broadhead. And then at the 80-somethingth minute, they brought on Smith to play with Moore, Broadhead, and Windass. So it was like all hands, all strikers on deck. I mean, if they had brought Hardy in as well, it would have been the full squad going after them. But it paid off, because as we learned, Rob Mack taught us very, very early, never, never, never leave a Wrexham match early. And Ryan Barnett got fouled at the 95th minute. And that free kick led to a beautiful Broadhead / Cleworth goal that really that leveled the game, and really just paid off all the attack that we had been doing during the second half. It was very exciting to watch. Very exciting.
Yeah, I agree. And I think, well, obviously it was the right choice. But yeah, it's not something that could be done sustainably, because we have such a strong midfield and defense.
Right.
But in these situations where you just got to try to claw at everything that you can, bring on 4 strikers so one of your defenders can make a goal, right?
Right.
Why not?
And I think they just really, really wanted to not take the loss. Yeah. I mean, and I think that they did a really excellent job. It was very exciting. There was a lot of opportunities in the second half, particularly. But when we were finally able to put it away at the last minute, it was just a great feeling. I think I shouted so loud. I think my neighbors thought the Super Bowl was happening.
Kind of. I mean, basically, we have lots of those, though. 40 some odd.
Right. And just one point that I wanted to make, it was really exciting all week long, was to see James McLean in the starting lineup for all 3 matches. I know that some of it was a combination of like players being rotated in and out for injuries. O'Brien was out because of 5 yellow cards. So it was good to see, McLean solidly playing at his best this week. Probably the best we've seen all season, which I love to see. So
I think we've also seen, I mean, speaking of throwback players, if that's what you want to call them, Dan Scarr playing very, very well. That's been really great to watch. And then I think the only other 2 things that are really standing out to me still, I said it before, I'll say it again, Arthur is still full of saves. And then, we've, again, something we've talked about before, Super Max Cleworth. I mean, he is just on fire.
Yeah. So he was part of Matchday Live at the post interview. And so they asked him, how did it feel? Because this was his first goal of the season, and he had quite a good number of goals last season, but this was his first. Yeah. This was his first goal this season, and this was, I think they said, the first goal by a defender on the Wrexham squad this season, which is a nice change. And so they asked him how he felt about the goal, and he said, "Well, the goal was good." He said, "But I need to go back and watch the footage to see how we missed their goal." And so he was just really focusing on trying to figure out how they got their goal in that first half and how they made that quick break and what they could have done differently. And I think that really shows sort of how he's the all-around player for that position that he plays.
Yeah, absolutely.
So 18 matches down. Just a quick recap of where we're at right now. So we ended Saturday in 9th place. And as we're recording this right now, Birmingham and Watford are playing their match because it got moved from the weekend to tonight. So I did a little bit of the look. In almost any permutation, one of those 2 teams will end up ahead of us in the table after this match. So we'll probably end the week in 10th, which is still a very excellent, solid positioning as we move into December, which we'll talk about in just a second. But I did want to ask I have a question for this week, if you're open to hearing it. So ready. We're now, I think, 18 matches, 4 months into the season. We've watched the team develop. We've watched the team grow. And for so many of those earlier matches, the narrative always started with Wrexham, who signed 13 new players over the summer. Right. And it was always the new players and then the who's returning and sort of how do they mesh together. And so my question is, after we finished now 4 months of play, is it time for us to finally let go of the who are the new players and who are the returning players and just focus in on who are playing the best in their position that day? What do you think?
I mean, that's a good point. Obviously what we would say are the returning players. We know them better. But part of that came from seeing them on the pitch. And we've sadly seen not as much of them on the pitch because we've had the 13 new signings. But I think we're really at a point in the season now where it doesn't feel like that pull, like that tug between the two. It doesn't feel like, we talked a lot at the beginning of the season of, things just feeling like they weren't clicking. We weren't really moving. And that doesn't feel like the place we're in now. And part of that is this latest trajectory of, would you say 8 unbeaten matches?
Yes, in a row.
That's going to make me bite my tongue. I hope I do not. Let me knock on some wood. But that's all got something to do with it. Now that we are, going into the end of this first half of the season, it feels like a much more cohesive squad, regardless of who it is. And like you said, James McLean coming in and starting, he's played quite a lot lately, and he's played really, really great. Dan Scarr is playing more. So yes, I kind of notice when it's players that we've not seen in a while, but it really just feels exactly like you said, who's the best on the pitch.
And just watching them all play together seamlessly. And we watched a lot of permutations over the last couple of weeks of different strikers, different midfielders. We have Ryan Longman, who can switch from side to side as a wing back, depending on who's playing with him. It's just good to see sort of that flexibility and how it all just intertwines in and out. And we still have on the bench, hopefully soon, we'll get to see Ollie Rathbone back and see what he can bring to the squad and sort of what energy he'll bring with him as well. So
I really want to see him play this season.
Yes,
I really do.
So do I. Yes. So coming into December, December is, they always talk about the busy holiday season, and we have a lot coming up so we have 6 matches in December, including the Christmas season matches. We conclude the first half of the season on December 26th. And then on December 29th, we launch right into the second half of the season. So where we'll start to play all the teams that we have just finished playing. We'll start that cycle all over again. Interestingly, our next match this coming Saturday, December 6th, is an away match with Preston North End. Preston North End is currently 5th on the table. They're in really solid position. As I mentioned, we're in 9th, but we're only 3 points off of the playoff range. So we're still really in the hunt for playoffs. And we'll kind of reevaluate as we get toward that midpoint season to see, how we hold up over this next month. But Preston North End, as we know, we've already played them once this season. We defeated them 3-2 in the second round of the EFL Cup in August. But this will be our first league meeting of the season with them on the 6th of December. And then we play them again in another league match on December 29th. So they're the odd bird who we get to play twice this month and get to see how that's going to go.
Okay. I have to ask the question.
Sure.
I have to bring it up again. Was Preston North End the Spud brothers?
I did not do that bit of research.
I did. I'll have to go back and look, because when you said Preston North End, I thought that sounds familiar. And then you say we play them the second time on December 29th. I thought, okay, so we haven't played them before, but if we played them in the cup, all right, I need to go back. I need to look back and see. But they're 5th. I think that'll be an interesting match. Also, if it was them, because we beat them 3-2, I wonder, how did they start the season?
That's a very good
question. My own homework I need to do.
So we can revisit these questions. And when we get together next week, we can recap the match and answer all of our questions as well.
All of our own questions.
All of our own questions.
Oh, one thing we didn't talk about.
Yeah.
Because before these three matches that I was out of the country for, out of my own, anyways, these 3 matches that just happened in November, we made some cheeky predictions.
We did make
in
some
the last
cheeky
episode.
predictions. Yes.
I think my cheeky prediction was 2 wins and a draw.
So you wavered a bit on your cheeky predictions.
I did.
And I think you ended up with 1 win, 1 draw, 1 loss at the end. You kind of vacillated back and forth between 2 wins and a draw and 1 win, 1 draw, 1 loss.
That's true. That's true.
I predicted 2 wins and a draw. So I think we were both close.
Okay.
We were both close. But the thing that I'm most proud of is that you had feared in your predictions that, if I get this quote correctly, that we'd be driving our clown car and the wheels would fall off in the middle of the Blackburn Rovers match. And that absolutely did not happen. We came back after the international break strong and stayed strong all week long. And we're kind of setting ourselves up for the month ahead. So I think the clown car is safely parked in the garage for the moment. And
but we did have to bring in all of the big guns
to
get to that 95th minute.
We did, but it was absolutely worth it.
But I'm very glad that my prediction of a win, a draw, and a loss did not come true.
So are we all. So let's hope we hold that up as we go into December. So.
Absolutely. Well, that's all we have time for. Thanks for joining us this week. Please like, comment, and subscribe.
You can also email us at wxmcoffeematchup@gmail.com. All one word, that's wxmcoffeematchup@gmail.com. Or you can follow us on Instagram and Blue Sky at wxmcoffeematchup.
From the cop to your coffee cup, that's all for today's Wrexham Coffee Matchup. Keep it brewing, keep it red, and as always, up the town.